Hi, it's Trixie, and today we're going to be talking about feeding the 5,000. And I'm reading out of the New King James Version. Okay, Luke 9:10 through 17. And the apostles, when they had returned, told him all that they had done. Then he took them and went aside privately into a deserted place belonging to the city called Bethsaida. But when the multitudes knew it, they followed him. And he received them and spoke to them about the kingdom of God, and healed those who needed healing. When the day began to wear away, the 12 came and said to him, "Send the multitude away, that they may go into the surrounding towns and country and lodge and get provisions, for we are in a deserted place here." But he said to them, "You give them something to eat." And they said, "We have no more than 5 loaves and 2 fish, unless we go and buy food for all these people." For there were about 5,000 men. Then he said to his disciples, "Make them sit down in groups of 50. And they did so, and made them all sit down. Then he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke them, and gave them to the disciples to set before the multitude. So they all ate and were filled, and 12 baskets of the leftover fragments were taken up by them. This story is so fascinating to me. Jesus is so calm, so he knows the answers. He can do things so peacefully, but the disciples were a little frazzled by the whole incident, and they shouldn't have been. They were with the one who could do all the things that they've seen so many miracles already. Why couldn't they just believe that he could do another one right there? So the fuel for the journey that I want to help you understand is, the first one is, the apostles came back from a successful trip of ministering to others and told Jesus all that they had done. They were casting out demons. They were doing things that were miraculous in their own sight, knowing that God did it, and came back and were so excited and wanted to tell Jesus all about it. So spiritually, they had been on fire. And for them, that was a new experience. Second, Jesus took them aside privately to a deserted place, alone at last with Jesus. They were just soaking him in and remembering all that they had been able to do, and they were just loving the fact that they were alone with God, alone with Jesus in a secluded place. Third, the multitudes followed Jesus, and he received them, and he spoke to them about the kingdom of God. Jesus is all about his Father's business. He can't go anywhere without letting people know that his Father is good, wise, and where they want to be. He is always doing something to try and persuade people to choose the Father. Fourth, at dinner time, the 12 came to Jesus and said, "Send them away so they can find lodging and food, for we are in a deserted place." They were no longer in the spirit. They were in the flesh, folks. And we know that feeling well, don't we? You get frustrated, you get anxious, you start worrying about things. And really, if you just believe that God can do it, he can take care of these things, it should not be an anxious situation. All we have to do is trust and believe that Jesus can do what he says he can do. Jesus said, you give them something to eat. What? Are you kidding me? Really? You want us to feed all these people? Can you imagine what the disciples were thinking when Jesus said that? I mean, he knew what he was about to do. He knew the Father could feed these people. He knew the Father would come through with the compassion that he has. But the disciples were like, what? I don't know how this is even going to happen. The disciples said, we have no more than 5 loaves and 2 fish unless we go and buy food for all these people. There are about 5,000 men. In essence, the disciples were saying, we don't have enough food for all these people. 5,000 men brought their families. There's a lot of mouths to feed out there. Jesus, what are we going to do? And Jesus just is calm and just sitting there and just like, well, here's what we're going to do. So Jesus said to his disciples, make them sit down in groups of 50. So they did. Okay, finally, something we can do. We can put these people all in 50s. We can do that. Yeah, we can do that. So then Jesus took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed it and broke them. Jesus touched the food. He sought the Father. He gave a blessing, and he broke the food. He is hands-on, folks. He wants to be there right in the midst of your problems and tribulations. All you have to do is ask. Jesus gave the food to the disciples to set before the multitudes. Again, something they could do and feel good about. They were okay with this. It was just like, yes, something we can do. And they didn't yet know that they were part of a miracle happening right then. Right then, they were in a miracle, and they just didn't know it. So they all ate and were filled. Every person there, every man, woman, child, Jesus, the 12 disciples, all ate and all were filled. They were so stuffed after eating, they couldn't have even had dessert if they were offered it. They were just that full. 12 baskets of leftover fragments were taken up by the disciples. Now, how many disciples were there? 12. How many baskets of leftovers were there? 12. Yep, that's right. Each disciple took up a basket of leftovers. They did. And it reminded them that nothing is impossible with God. God does not change. He is the same today, tomorrow, the next day, every day, yesterday, all the days before it. He is not changing. He can still do those things today, folks. He is a miracle God, and he can do things in your life. All you have to do is ask. And watch him work. Watch what he'll do. He will make it happen, and you will be all the better for it. So, I just want to thank you for watching this video. If you would like to give it a thumbs up, I would really appreciate that. And if you could hit that bell icon for more consistent teaching from me, that would make sure that you got all the videos that I'm making and putting out there for you folks. And if you could leave me a comment or a suggestion of what you want to hear about. What in the Bible is is stumping you, or do you want to hear, about Esther, Ruth, Moses? Let's find these things out together. So, until next time, you be blessed.